Hey, what's up, YouTube? Let's call this episode 2 of Hoshin It Over. And what do we got on the news today?
Well, first up, it looks like the Florida police chief, who was in charge of the Florida police at the time of the Trayvon Martin slaying, was fired on Wednesday by the city manager.
Okay. He attempted to resign in the past, right? And he was rejected by the city council, and now they're basically taking him out now.
Well, a lot of people have said that they thought that the additional information that cleared Zimmerman's name that surfaced later,
right?
You know, all the witnesses that came out and said that they had witnessed, Trayvon
on top of Zimmerman.
Yeah, that information really only came out because the police chief attempted to resign. They felt, the information was leaked because...
So then why did they end up just firing him anyway, then?
Because the police chief, according to the city manager, the police chief needs to have the trust and respect of the elected officials and the confidence of the entire community.
Yeah, this is a political move.
It is, and it's really unfortunate. But,
yeah.
How far do you trust the police? I mean, how much information needs to be
about as far as I can throw them.
But in the same scenario, if they have information that's being withheld specifically because they need to further research it,
right? If there's an ongoing investigation, the police are not supposed to talk about what they're doing further. If the investigation is complete and it's going to court, they're not supposed to talk about it because that information could spread to potential jurors,
right,
or people involved in the case. I mean, it taints a jury pool. It taints an investigation. That's why you're supposed to have, very little communication. That's the point for that. But we, the people, because, media moves so fast, we require this information to the point that we will get into a feverish rage for blood and people's jobs until we get it. I mean, that's kind of what happened with Trayvon Martin, the whole story.
That's really funny because, I'm involved in, at my work, I'm involved in a lawsuit right now.
Right.
And in talking to some of the parties of the lawsuit, we're on the defendant's side. And when we're discussing settlement options, one of the big things that they wanted was an affidavit from the plaintiffs clarifying who led them to default on the contract and pursue this lawsuit.
What does that even matter for a civil case?
Because they want the guy fired. They believe it's somebody who's a part of this corrupt county.
Because somebody... Okay, so a little background. Somebody defaulted on an agreement that you had in a contract.
Yes.
And it is believed that someone within the county led those people to default or recommended it.
Right.
Okay, well, it kind of makes sense.
Well, but, I mean...
We gotta look for a throat to slit! Gotta cut!
But to me... I feel like as long as we settle it in a way that's monetarily acceptable, what does it matter? Right? But they will not be satisfied unless the person at the county that they believe, and I don't even know where they got the idea, but, that they believe caused this problem as a third party. It's called, what is it? Willful interference.
Oh, like they could be the owner of another company or business.
Well, no, just that they willfully interfered with the contract.
Okay, all right. Well, kind of the same.
Whatever.
Next story.
Okay. So,
moving along.
This isn't a story that we need to talk extensively about, but Mitt Romney celebrated his single best day of fundraising to date. He went to Michigan and raised somewhere between $6 and $8 million on Wednesday. So, that's pretty good news.
I mean, better news than what does Obama make? Like $6 million per Twitter message?
He made $11 million at that George Clooney event, I think, or something like that.
The only hope that I have is that there is a law of diminishing returns when it comes to campaign finances, and there is a study people have done that even the richest people, when they go forward and try and, pay for an election to become whatever, that there is a point at which their money yields them no more votes. They have saturated the market, and there's nothing more that they could do there. So, God, I'm hoping that Obama hits saturation quickly, because, yow. Yeah. Anyway.
So, have you already done a video on the Tulsa, Oklahoma garden?
I did, but let's talk about it again, because you know more of the facts. So, let me, real quick, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, there was a person who was diabetic and without a job. And before that all came to a head, being unemployed and with, diabetes, they had sown a garden. They had taken their front yard, removed the grass, and replaced it with edible foods, like vegetables, fruit trees, all kinds of things,
fruit trees, herbs, different edibles that would treat her diabetes also. Right.
So it was both medically sound and financially sound to get her off the dole of the taxpayer, right? I mean, you're talking about money.
Well, she didn't have health insurance, so there's no way for her to afford the diabetes medication anyway.
Okay. Oh,
so what she did was she planted this front yard garden, which is becoming increasingly popular, and in the city ordinances related to front lawns, there is a restriction that no plants can be over 12 inches tall, with the caveat that if they are edible...
Caveat's very important here.
That they're completely acceptable. That makes room for things like bushes, like berry bushes, fruit trees, everything along those lines. Things that are both ornamental, and
right,
and with a purpose.
So what ends up happening is she converts her whole yard over, and somebody from the city drives by. He sees it, he or she, I don't know, and they become outraged by the sight.
Well, it's a city inspector, and they cite her.
They cite her.
Yeah.
Basically citing her to come to court and, answer for what she's done. So she goes to court, and the judge rules against her. Right?
Well, she goes to the city council first or something. Anyway, she goes into the city where, somebody would make a decision on it, and nobody would listen to her.
Okay.
The consistent line was, I don't care. It doesn't matter. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Even though she's citing municipal code.
Right. She has statutes that are on the books that says if you have plants over 12 inches, they must be edible. And all her plants are edible.
Right.
No brainer.
So then I'm not really clear on what happens next with except that it seems as though she needs it cleared up by October, which... Cleared up may mean that she needs to have it removed, or that she needs to have it resolved, right?
Or maybe like some plants on the side of the house here, and a little space in the middle, and a walkway.
Or a chance to appeal the decision.
Right.
And that's really the big deal.
Right. And that's why you get so much time. That's why you get months and months, is so that you can appeal. The court system is based off of appeal systems.
So the next day, a bobcat from the city shows up and tears everything out of her front lawn, including the fruit trees. And fruit trees take a long time to grow.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
They were fruit-bearing trees.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fruit-bearing trees are something that takes a while to grow to the point that they'll do that.
And they're extremely valuable.
Extremely valuable. Let's put it in a sense.
They could have been transplanted. She could have made money.
She could have made like 3 times what she had paid for in the tree.
I mean, really, she could have sold all of those plants and made some money.
Right.
But the city said,
no, we're going to be the city. We know best. We're going to do what we want.
Which is completely outrageous.
So she's suing them.
Yes, she is suing the city of Tulsa.
Let's hope she wins.
I really hope she does, too.
Yep. And we'll report back with more information. Okay. That's about 10 minutes in. We're good.
All right.
Yeah. All right, guys. That was Hoshin It Over episode 2. Take it easy. Say goodbye.
Bye, YouTube.